Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Wide Open with Ashlyn Harris. I have the one and only guest today you guys are going to be so excited to hear from, RaeShanda Lias. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Wide Open. How are you?
First of all, this is amazing. I'm super proud of you. I want you to know that.
Thanks.
So proud. Oh, it feels good to be here. It feels good. Today is a good day. And we are about to get into it.
We woke up.
Yes.
We woke up.
And
Cheers.
that's all we could do.
I did a heavy pour because I thought you might need it.
You're a bad influence.
I really am.
And
Welcome
that's
to
okay.
New York. Welcome to New York. Cheers to that.
What was
Welcome
this
to the
song
cold.
that you just...
Oh, that's a little Taylor Swift. I'm a little Tay-Tay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I was getting serenaded today.
Yeah.
What are we getting into?
Well, it just depends how far you want to take it, honey. Your story is out of this world. Like, you have lived such a full life and you have so many years ahead of you. Clearly I know you.
Right.
Who doesn't? If you live under a rock.
Maybe. Right.
You have 2.4 million TikTok followers.
Yes.
You go viral all the time. Your videos give me joy,
Thank you.
laughter, education, and it's just so you don't put effort into it at all.
No.
I can genuinely see this is just who you are.
This is just who I am. And I tell people all the time, right? When brands approach me and people approach me to do something, I'm like, nothing I do is scripted. When I get up at the board, I have no idea what I'm going to say. I may have a thought like, oh, I'm going to talk about this. I don't know what I'm going to say or how. I just want it to be funny and hopefully offend the people that it needs to offend.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you have such a beautiful story. I mean, you've lived a life, honey.
Yes.
A life.
A lot has happened.
And we're going to get into that because I really feel, or at least I assume it has shaped you a lot in who you are,
absolutely.
your identity, how you move in the world. But I always start each episode with a pretty heavy, deep question,
Okay.
which will lead us into the conversation. You know, the reason why this show is called Wide Open is not only because of the context in sports of like seizing the moment and that moment of awareness to execute, but it's really peeling back the layers, like really being vulnerable and raw and letting people in to understand what we do is not who we are.
Exactly.
And with that, I want to ask, in what moment in your life has split you wide open? What moment changed everything for you?
It was...
Do you need a sip, honey? Because we get deep real quick.
December of 2011. Now, prior to December 2011, I put in my resignation at 30 years old. I had worked at Kentucky State University in the financial aid office after coming to Kentucky in beginning of 06. Hurricane Katrina was 05, August 05. I was in Mississippi. So coming there, doing the things, completing my degree that I had started while I was in the military, I went home with these high hopes. I had bragged about being an author. I'm going to write a book. I don't want to work for anybody anymore. I'm going to cash out my 401k, my retirement, my Army benefits, and I'm going to save the world. I was going to go start a nonprofit back home in Mississippi. One of my friends had just became a grandmother at the age of 30, and I had my oldest son at just 13 years old. I remember there was a program for teen moms, and I said, I'm going to go back home and start this nonprofit. And that was on my birthday, July 29 is when I resigned. And within 4 months, I had about $30,000 stolen from me by a family member. I had given them access to my funds because my children were there, and it was gambled away. And I found out Christmas Eve that I had nothing but the money that I had on me. And in my anger, I got my children up out of the bed and I just drove in the middle of the night from Mississippi back to Kentucky. And though I had lived in Frankfort, Kentucky and worked at Kentucky State, I probably had been to Louisville maybe once, which is the biggest city in the state. And I drove to Louisville. Never been. Had a few friends I had made through the years, but I didn't know anybody. And we stopped at this pay by the week motel. And that's where my life started over.
Wow.
I got a temp job. I looked for housing. And the people that I had made friends with really rallied around me to try to help. Because we can't do this thing alone.
Mm-mm.
Right? So even though it was a few, we were mighty. They made sure that I at least had a place. And I came by the pay by the week motel. And my friend was like, I'll help you. Because again, you still have to pay for it. I don't have that much money. And going into that bathroom in that hotel room and getting on I just said, God, you have to fix this because I can't fix it. Right. I had been through a lot in my life, teen pregnancy, rape, molestation, divorce, domestic violence, but I had never been broke. I had never had $0. And you got 4 children, right? How do you explain to them what is happening? And that was my turning moment. That was me going back to the basics. I knew I needed a job, so I started through a temp service. And I got hired at Republic Bank during tax season. So this was, January, February. I'm like, okay. And here I am at this point in my life and I don't know what I'm doing, don't know what to do. And I find a place, right? And somebody was like, oh, you don't want to live in West Louisville. One of the ladies at my job, I had the newspaper open, circling places. And she was like, you don't want to live there. And I was like, why wouldn't I want to live there? I don't know the city. She was like, oh, no, that's a bad area. And then turned to find out it was not. It's just predominantly Black. Jesus. And the landlord was super understanding. I told him I had this job that was turning into a permanent job. And I went from this 1-room motel to a 5-bedroom house with my children, full basement. I was excited. I didn't care where it was. We had housing, right? And then my old job called me and was like, we heard you're in town and we would like to hire you back. Now I'm at the bank working and they was like, well, we'll pay you $20 an hour and I'm going to drive from Louisville back to my old job. And I said, are you sure? Because if I leave this job with no notice, I can't come back because it's a temp job. And they worked me for 1 day and told me that they couldn't pay me what they had agreed to pay me. I have now gotten a home, fresh out of homelessness, and left a job for a quote unquote better job. And you all let me go on day 1. So I had to go through a lot, but I didn't go quietly. So they had to end up paying me. Yeah. And they had to pay me for the agreed upon time and the agreed upon amount. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start my own business. And I started a Facebook page called All Is Fair in Love and Fashion, like All Is Fair in Love and War. And it went viral. It was going viral before it was viral. And I was literally just putting together style ideas for women. I wasn't selling anything. So if you ever saw the little collages with the boots, the hat, the purse, all the things together, but no person in it, those things, that's what I started doing on this app called Polyvore on my phone. And it took off. And somebody said, you should open a boutique. And I was like, retail. Now, I don't want to do retail. And just a follower. That's why I said we can't do this thing alone, a follower. And she said, she called my house. She was like, well, I'll hire you. I have a boutique in Atlanta. I'll hire you to be a buyer because you have a good eye. And we tried it for maybe 2 months. And she was like, no, your following is growing. You should really do this. A stranger. She drove up from Atlanta. We went to Las Vegas to a show. The magic show is what they call it, where all the manufacturers, all of the products are. She taught me how to price them, how to pick them out, all the things. And I literally, Ash, I went from 2013 is when I launched the boutique, March 2013. I went from selling plasma to pay bills to a 6-figure business in 10 months from Facebook. And January came and I got my 1099K from PayPal. I said, oh, I'm going to jail. I said, I'm going to jail because ain't no way I made this much money on the internet, and I went, got my business registered, did all the things, made sure my taxes were in order. And it changed my life, but it's coming from nothing. All Is Fair in Love and Fashion really changed my life, and my children's life, because I didn't see it. I didn't see how I was going to get out of this thing that I was put in. And the crazy part is, the first grant that I ever got after launching my business, the largest grant, was because I lived in West Louisville. And had I listened to that lady about not moving to that area, I would have never won that grant. And I was packing and shipping everywhere from LA to Singapore. Like, people were buying my stuff just from online. I actually, this is so crazy. You know, Shein is one of the top retailers now, but back then in 2012, 2013, they were paying to advertise on my page. They were paying me to advertise on my page. And I had to make a decision if I was going to launch my boutique and get paid that way, or get paid just for advertising on my page. And now to see them as big as they are is crazy. But that was my big, like, wide open moment, because what do you do when you don't have anything? When you have mouths to feed, what do you do? And in those moments, you can see grace and you can see community, and people show up. Because the only reason why I found that home is because I didn't have any other options. But to hear somebody say, oh, you don't want to live there, and turned out I never had a problem in that area. And I went and bought a Jag after that. And I parked that Jag in the West End in front of that house, and it never got bothered. So it is these things, these misconceptions that people have about certain areas or certain people or certain things that I continue to break. And that was one of those things. But that was my wide open moment, to go from nothing to not even, I had no idea what I was going to do.
There's something inside you that is so beautiful that you don't even have to say it. I feel it. There's something that has made you exactly who you are. And I'm curious, did you know that? Was there someone who shaped you in this way, or was it life circumstances where you had no choice?
I knew nobody was coming to save me. Nobody was coming to fix it for me. I had to fix it. Just even after my first marriage, I knew I made that decision, so I had to fix it, right? I made the decision because I knew going into the marriage that I was gay. I told him that I was. And I had to make a decision. Do I stay in this marriage unhappy, or do I leave and hurt him in the process, even though I was honest and upfront? So all the decisions we make, once we're in those things, and we have to know. Some people have that, but I didn't have anybody coming for me. And little RaeShanda knew that there's something better out there. This is not the end for me. Something in that motel room told me this is not the end. I just have to figure out the next day. I have to figure out the next step. The first thing is, I have a vehicle. I just need a job. So I have to, because most people don't have either, which makes it even more difficult. So at least in my lowest, I still was privileged to have transportation. So I said, oh, I have to get a job, because here's the thing. Your children are looking at you. Mama, we've never been in a motel before, a hotel before. What is this about? And even though they were young, they knew, like, this is not us. You're going to have to fix it. So even though they didn't say it, I knew I had to fix it, and nobody was coming to save me. Just like now. Nobody's coming to save us. No. We're going to have to fix it.
We're going to have to fix it. And that's what we do. And we do it with community. We do it together. And that's why I think your story is so special and so important, because so many people out there, you will give them the strength to not quit, to not give up, to not feel alone. And I think that's invaluable. And as a young 13-year-old who gets pregnant, I say that I'm a 39-year-old who started adopting children a few years ago. And I've done a lot of hard shit in my life, and nowhere near what you've done. It is the hardest thing I've ever done.
Oh my God.
It is the hardest thing I've ever done. And to know you were 13, you're doing this alone, you decide, you really confront your sexuality, right?
Yes.
And then you decide, I'm going to go to the military.
Yes.
I'm like, girl, You get what? This couldn't play out. Then you'd go to the military. I think you're in Frankfurt, Germany.
Yes.
And you're
Which
like,
is so crazy that I ended up in Frankfurt, Kentucky.
I'm
like
gay.
All of it.
I'm now gonna marry a man. I'm now having more children.
Oh.
I'm gonna come home now that I'm out of that bubble and I can see clearly what, I would assume. You're like, oh, fuck this. This ain't for me.
And here's the thing. I knew then. I knew that. I told him when he asked me. I had a girlfriend. I was like, this is not. But my family was like, well, this is just a phase. And I'm 19, by the way. I'm 19 at the time. And I'm like, you don't want to marry me. And it's not even because I'm gay. It's because I'm not anybody's wife. Mm-mm. I've been reading the Bible, sir. It's a lot of instructions in there for wives, and I don't want to do any of that. So that is not what I want in my life. I literally, and because I am so funny and upbeat, and I've always been this way, people don't take me serious, but I knew in second grade that I like girls. I knew that, but who was I going to come out to? And in high school, watching older gay men come out and trans men come out and be berated, I was like, oh no, I can't, so when I finally did to my mom at 18, I was like, okay. But at 13, I got pregnant the first time having sex, listening to my friends. I was a cheerleader and they were talking about that's what they were doing. No. Mm-mm. No, I said it can't be. It hurt. It was awkward. Yeah. It's weird. It's not what they show in the movies. It's none of that. It's
really not.
It's not. And for me to get pregnant, and my aunt kept asking me, after I missed my cycle, and my mom knew because she wore tampons and I didn't. She was like, I haven't seen any sanitary napkins in the trash. This is my mom, FBI agent. And I was like, so I went and wrapped one up. And that nasty little lady went in there and went through that trash and opened that pad and was like, there's nothing in this pad. Fine, I'm pregnant. You got me. I'm busted. But prior to that, my aunt asking me, I knew why she was asking me. I didn't know, but I knew because she kept saying, if you are, we can fix it. But she wasn't saying, and I'm 13, so I'm not knowing that she's talking about abortion or whatever. Yeah. She's like, we could fix it if you are. But the door is cracked in my room and I can see my mom sitting in her room looking at me. So I kept saying, no, I'm not. Until it was too late, right? So I finally said at 3 months, I was like, yes, I am. And for my friends, I lost all of them, right? They judged my mom, my dad, my family. Teachers didn't want me in the classroom, pregnant. I had some teachers that really did stand up for me. But it changed everything. And my best friend, her at the time, she laid in the hospital bed with me the day I had him. And his dad was always present. His dad and his grandmother always present. And I lost him. He died in a car accident. My oldest son's father died in a car accident when he was 2. And then my boyfriend after that passed away. And then my mom was like, well, maybe men aren't for you. Maybe you should try women. But so I had already experienced loss early on in my life. And that probably kind of made me numb to just, or I don't even save people's numbers even now. People are temporary. Things are temporary. Wow. And I think it stems from that. But being 13 and going through that and seeing, you learn really fast who your friends are. And you have to grow up fast. And my mom, I had my son July 18th and school started back August 8th. And my mama just wrapped me in saran wrap and put me on a girdle and was like, you have to go, now you have to go even harder. So I didn't get 6 or 8 weeks rest. I got about 2.5, 3 weeks rest. And then it was back to school, 9th grade. I started 9th grade and I went ahead and graduated. I graduated in the top 10 of my class and I went to the military. I said, I have to, but it had to be my uncles and my aunts and the community. My mom would drag that crib into her room every night during the week. So I had no excuse not to get up in the morning because the baby's on, 3-4 hour sleep schedule. My mom has to work and she's still doing this.
Wow.
My mom has my brother because we're 10 years apart. So I just added another child to her household. Right. But she went so hard for me, which is why now I take care of her. I cannot not take care of my mom. Right. I cannot not. She sacrificed for me to be where I am. And it's sad. Now I'm getting wide open. See, because she's in stage 5 dementia and she doesn't know that I'm doing the things that she prayed that I would be doing. But she helped me get there by not giving up. Because a lot of my friends who got pregnant after me, Ash, they did not walk across that stage. Their parents put them out. They did not graduate. I don't know where they are, but I'm glad my mama didn't give up on me. And I didn't give up on myself.
Yeah, I love that. And that's beautiful. And I appreciate you sharing that. But what I will say is she knows.
Yeah.
She knows. She knows exactly what you were destined to do. And that's why she made the sacrifices she did and believed in you in every turn of
now
your
you're
life.
Make my lashes loose.
Okay, sorry, honey. Well, this is wide open and you're really bringing it. And I'm grateful for your honesty and I'm grateful for your story because so many people would quit. And that was never an option.
No.
And it was never an option for your mother either and for your family. And I always say it didn't happen to you, it happened for you.
Yeah.
And you were built for this moment. You were built for the spotlight. You were built for, being a part of people's home to bring them joy and honesty and realness. And I imagine because of the life you've walked, you have this way of carrying yourself and you're so wise, way beyond your years, clearly. You could be so reserved, so shut off. And rightfully so.
Yeah.
At every turn, you've been knocked down, but you choose joy every day. You choose laughter. You choose light. And I think that is a really special gift, and you deserve this moment. You're building this beautiful boutique, which makes people happy. Yeah. And I think what separates you so much, how has your journey, how has your experiences really affected your children of knowing exactly who they are and giving them the strength to be like, look what my mom went through and look where she's at. Like, talk about that. Talk about, your family is beautiful. You have a trans son and you have a pansexual daughter, correct? Yes. And you identify as gay. So I'm curious you've got this beautiful family that has gone through so much. How has this queerness, this identity of queerness for you shaped them?
I wanted my children to have a happy parent. I was not going to be happy masking who I was. And that does not display freedom to them. Then they wouldn't be able to be truly who they are. So me being fully who I am before I even knew them allowed them to be who they are. So when my son first came out to me and I was like, I'm a lesbian, I was like, okay, we'll see. It's more. But all right. But I'm glad that he did. Or my youngest, so it's my oldest and my youngest. We call the twins the straights. But my oldest and my youngest, being able to, and they're one and the same. They are I'll always say that my youngest is the untampered with version of me. The one that I probably would have been had I not gone through everything now, because she is the epitome of freedom and oversharing. Oh my Lord. But I am glad. So because of that, and because of my twins being who they are, and we were just raised to love, right? Even in the big family that I'm talking about, my mom and her siblings, my uncles marrying Caucasian women and my cousins being lighter and mixed, and seeing love in a melting pot. And nobody is judged, right? Even after divorces and things happen, they're still family. They still show up to the family reunion. Everything is still love. That's how I was raised, right? Everybody goes through their thing. My uncles, and making sure that they reaffirmed who I was, even in my darker skin than the rest of my family, right? Oh, we love you. We love your full lips. We love your, it was all love. My dad pouring into me. So I did that to my children. We are loving. We say, I love you all through the day. We give kisses. We give hugs. I broke the cycle of, because my mom can't help how she grew up, right? Growing up in the 80s, you just can't tell your parents how you feel, right? It's seen as talking back, or it's seen as You don't have nothing to stress about because you don't pay bills,
Mm-hmm.
right? But as I got older, my mom listened like 17, 18, 19, but I started earlier with my children. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to tell me how you feel, right? In a respectful manner. It's okay if you don't like spaghetti, right? Because here's the thing. We grew up, and you eat what you eat or you don't eat,
Mm-hmm.
right? Finding out that they are not just extensions of you. Like they are their own people.
Mm-hmm.
When you realize your children are just little people growing up, they can be and do whatever. So that's why I go back to little Ray. One of my aunts was a librarian. I would be in the library all the time in my little nook reading. Reading can take you anywhere you want to go, which is why I say I've never been told that I can't. That's why I do. It is that freedom in that. And raising queer children, I just had to say, be who I'm here to protect you. If the world don't like you, fuck 'em.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? Because I'm here. And I was glad when I came out to my mom and my dad that they were just like, okay, and what? It's nothing new, because people forget queer people have always been here. So I give that to my children, right? You are exactly who you're supposed to be. And you are perfect just that way.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And I can imagine what those dinner table talks feel like, sound like. I mean, it is so beautiful to hear that, because not everyone has that type of coming out experience. And especially in this political climate that you and I are working so hard to change, for people to understand that.
Because it's simply none of their business.
It's just not.
It's not. And the moment that you tell somebody that you're gay or lesbian or trans or whatever, then it becomes all about that, when it simply is not. I am still smart. I am still funny. I'm still doing my job. That's what I say in corporate. If you're in corporate and you're gay, you're still doing your job. Everything, nothing is attached to it, but people automatically go to our bedrooms. That's not where you're supposed to be. That's not your business.
Karen, I'm not worried about you, what you and Donald are doing in your bedroom.
Not one moment.
Stop worrying about what I'm doing.
I don't understand it. When I walk into a room, I walk in there, all the things that I am, right? I don't separate my blackness and my queerness and my being a veteran and a business owner and all. And when I walk in, I'm all those things. The first thing you're going to see is that I'm a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever I give you after that is, you find that out. But when I walk in, I'm still walking in all of those things. You treat me differently when you start finding out who I am. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I know who I am.
Which is also what I say all the time when we are so quick to judge our youth trans. Can you imagine being their age and knowing exactly who they fucking are and owning it, when you're in your 40s and 50s and you still don't know who the fuck you are, and you want to judge a young child for being so brave because they know exactly who they are.
And then we can't tell them that, because remember I said I knew in second grade. Mm-hmm. Somebody would be like, you don't know anything. We don't listen to them because we write them off, right? Mm-hmm. Even when they're 18, 19, we're like, oh, your frontal lobe hasn't developed yet. Wait till you're 25. But I knew who I was back then, and you stifled me. Mm. Even me getting married, right? My family was like, oh, it's just a phase. You should just try that. Try. What you're doing is bringing in somebody else's feelings and emotions. And I wasn't about to play with them, which is why I was trying to be upfront and honest. Mm. It's okay that you love me. It's okay that you like me. But I'm trying to tell you, you want me to stuff down a part of myself that's just not going to go anywhere. It's just going to bubble back up. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to be at this crossroads. I believe that for a lot of people, which is also why it offends them when they see us. Like, you said that you were going to do this, and this is the life you chose. We chose a different path, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And that's what makes us all so beautiful.
Yes.
Right? And I think some people need to watch your stories for a little education. Your social media content is so good. But during this, does it scare you during this political climate with Trump in office and the things that he's been saying this for a long time of
Listen.
what he plans to do. And, your family is very colorful.
Yes.
And what are you scared living in Kentucky, in a very, very conservative place that is a red state, and the potential of the harm that he's going to put on our community and personally your son?
Yes.
How do you feel? Like, how are you coping?
Now that terrifies me, right? Because he came over last night to wash his clothes, as the children do, and shop in your refrigerator. And that was one of the things we talked about. We talked about LA, we talked about Chicago. Not so much New York because it's cold. Okay. But also Chicago is, but that's where my dad is. But we were like, we have to, and I'm going to visit Colorado, Denver too. We have to get to a blue state. I don't want my children's freedom restricted at all. I set them free.
I'm so glad that the HRC brought us together.
Yes.
And I love that you have found your voice and your activism for our community, for yourself,
Yes.
for women. Do your kids, are they proud of you? Do they look at you and they're like, "Damn, Mom, you're really doing it"?
They tell me that all the time. It is so, now I'm going to cry.
Oh,
It
I'm
is
sorry.
so, because I was so scared that I just fucked them up so bad. Because in me finding myself, I'm raising children, right? Because there's no instructions, but you're also, even for me, learning the things that happened to my mom and in her life, and then her having me at 23 years old. I can see myself at 23, even though I was married. But just imagine you at 23. We was out here wilding at 23. So imagine.
And no social media.
Right. No social media. And raising a child or raising children. So I was the only child until I was 10. And my mom, she said, I always knew I wanted to be a mom. I always wanted to love on you. But I look back and there were days that my mom would come home. I'll say this. My grandmother passed when I was 5 in 1986. That means that if I was 5, my mom was 28, losing her mom. There was a point in my mom's life where she said that she didn't remember dressing me, putting me on the school bus, all the things. She did those things, but she slept most of the day. She took nerve pills. But she was going through something. She lost her mom, and nothing stops. The world doesn't stop in grief. So she's raising me through grief. She's raising me through trauma that she's been through prior to me getting here. She's working through all that. So I was terrified that my children wouldn't understand. And they're like, no, Mama, we're in our 20s now. We understand. We're all just figuring these things out. And you have to give yourself grace. And I could only just apologize. Like, I'm so sorry for whatever. And if you need to go to counseling or about me or talk about, I found out when they were little, they used to have group meetings about me. Not bad, but just how are we going to infiltrate today? Are we going to send the baby Nacy? Are we going to send her in to ask for what we want today? Like they were smart. So even now being older, I'm like, I hope you all know that I did the best that I could. Everybody's grown now. My youngest is 21, the twins are 23, and my oldest is 29. So I'm like, I did it. And I hope you all are proud. So for them to be like, Mama, we are. We understand now that you only can do what you know, right? And when I learned better, I did better. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. And what your experiences and the life you've walked and led are going to make them the most incredible humans because they got a front row seat.
I hope so.
And that's why I love this show so much, because we're here to share our scars.
Yes.
We're here to protect people, to not walk the hardship, the hard parts of our life. If we can talk about it and we can help,
right,
we're more of a success than anything else we've ever done.
Absolutely.
I always say this. There's a difference between having kids and being a parent.
Yes.
There is a big fucking difference on how you show up.
Yes.
And I love the way you show up and parent. And I think your kids are able to see that. And when they look at themselves, like, you are their superhero.
Yeah.
You're still choosing to advocate. You're still
Yes.
choosing to show up and use your voice and your platform. And now you have this audience where people are listening. What is that like?
It is crazy.
What is that like on this side?
It's crazy. It's crazy because I didn't imagine, right? I'm going to tell you a quick story. I walking through Dubai 2021, my first time going, walking through the mall. I'm just in awe because it's Dubai and I'm like, oh my God. And I say out of my mouth, I was like, I wonder what it's like to open a boutique over here. Like, what does it take exactly? And I remember one of my friends saying, well, you have to know somebody that already lives there and they have to own at least 51% of your business, all the things. And I was like, I'm going to open a boutique over here one day. And that was in March of 2021, and May of 2021, I was contacted via Instagram. And I want to say this, while I was in Dubai, people were sending me TikToks and I still wasn't on TikTok. Right? Now I'm behind. I was like, I'm not downloading another app. I'm not. I'm refusing. And I get back in March of 2021. And at the end of March, I posted my first video. And I think my second video went viral when I did rules for my funeral or something like that. And I was contacted by a lady who's a teacher in Dubai. And she was like, I'm reading this book called Girl on Fire by Cara Alwell. Right? She wrote Champagne Diet.
Mm-hmm.
She's here in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I love her. She wrote about me when she met me about going from homeless to six figures in her book.
Wow.
This lady is in Dubai reading about my story, and she's a teacher, and she's like, I want to open a boutique over here. Not knowing I had just spoken out of my mouth 2 months before in March, April, May, 3 months before, saying, I wonder what it'd be like. Because sometimes your thoughts and your dreams aren't for you. They're for you to help other people. So in doing that, I said, I'm going to start a TikTok. And had no idea that it would grow the way that it did in these 3 years and be in these spaces and be booked and working with the dream brands that I want to work with. But to be able, the biggest thing is walking through anywhere. It doesn't matter where. The second time I went to Dubai, I'm on the plane and I simply asked for water. I had mask on, so it was end of 2021. So I've been on TikTok at this point 6 months, 7 months. And this lady says, say that again. And I said, I just wanted some water. She said, oh my God, it's you. So this was March of 2022. So it had been a year. And I said, what? She was like, my mother followed you. I'm about to call her right now. We're on the Emirates flight in Dubai, flying back to the States. And there's somebody that recognized me.
Oh my God.
By my voice. And it has not stopped. So all the love, all the hugs, even the flight attendants, when they recognize me, giving me my extra snacks. It is so crazy. But also for people to say, thank you. Thank you for being a voice. Thank you for standing up, because who's going to do it? Right? Even in the political climate we were in, they was like, thank you for sacrificing your platform. And I was like, it's no sacrifice. When people tell you, oh, I liked you until you got political or all the things, they don't realize that everything we do is political. From where you live to where you work to what you drive. All of that is dictated by politics. And you are foolish if you don't think that it is. Everything is political. Because every law has to be passed in order for something to take place, in order for it to be what it is. And I'm not sure why people don't understand that. So it was no sacrifice to me. I have enjoyed it thoroughly, dragging who needs to be drugged and standing up for those who need to be stood up for, because it affects us all.
What people don't realize, with this incredible gift of success and fame comes a lot of responsibility.
Oh, yes.
Right?
It does.
And you lived out a very public,
Oh my God.
very public divorce.
Yes.
You were married, and we share this
Yes.
together. I love you. You can have a sip of your
Okay.
wine.
Yes, thank you, please.
But yeah, but what the hardest part is you build this platform, right? You build this success where people are willing to listen.
Yes.
And, in 2019, you get married and you start bringing, your wife at the time on your TikTok. And then, things happen and you get a divorce, and now you have to live this publicly, which is people
Yes.
don't understand. Once you open your life up to the media, to success, to people following you, they want more.
Yes.
They want more. They want more. They want it all.
Yes.
And they're not entitled to that. But you got on your platform and you just told it how it was.
Yes.
And I respect that. And I can take a lesson in your book. I stood in my integrity because I didn't want to say anything. And the media and tabloids went haywire because my silence was a admission of guilt or of wrongdoing or of all these things that they could draw up. And I guess that is my biggest mistake. My biggest regret is not sitting in my truth because I was so fearful of who it might hurt.
Oh, yes. See,
But it hurt me
Yeah.
in the process.
so
How does that, that is my question to you. Like, what is it like to now sit in such a famous space where people recognize you and go through such a public separation and divorce?
I knew that I was going to have to say something, right? It's social media, but also people were the major reason that I brought up the divorce itself was because people were asking, like, where are we sending the decorations this year? Because she would decorate, and it was coming up on Halloween, and we hadn't said anything, and they hadn't seen her because they pay attention to everything. They pay attention to everything. So I was like, I'm just going to get on here and simply say, hey, we're filing for, and this was, I did it
2023, right?
Yes, the end of September. After I had filed for a divorce, I went on there and just simply said, I filed for a divorce, right? I wasn't dragging. I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it because it had to be done. I was like, I logged off. So then it comes about that, RaeShanda must have been cheating, or she's had this weight loss surgery and now she's leaving her behind. And then she went on there running her mouth. And I was like, well, okay then. I went to my best friend's house and I said, well, best friend, give me a glass of wine. And I'm going to go live and I'm going to say this one time and one time only. I'm just going to put it all out on the table with timestamps, dates, and everything because I remember. And I just let it go. The thing is, people drug me for it, just like they drug you for not saying anything, right? The people that drug me for saying something, I can't worry about it. I never gave a damn. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dams. I couldn't worry about it. Which is what I said on there, I have no problem with burning a bridge while I'm standing on it to let people know that I'm not to be fucked with. And I said that because I knew social media. I've been on social media since 2011. Well, before then, but as far as being viral and people knowing me since 2011, 2012, when I started my All Is Fair in Love and Fashion. So I knew that with me saying something that I would get kind of burned too. And I had to be okay with that. So once I accepted that I'm going to tell my truth, I can't help it if you believe it or not. I'm telling you this and I'm only repeating myself. I'm only saying it one time. I had to be okay with that. I don't want you to regret not saying anything. But for me, I knew I had to. And the way I was raised, I just had to. I wish I had that thing that Beyonce has, where she doesn't address anything about anything. Let you think what you want to think. But for me, I knew our wedding was on Say Yes to the Dress. So we got married publicly. This was going to have to end publicly. Right? And I believe that it had to be that bad as it was, to be unfixable. It had to be so broken that I didn't even want to try. And I didn't. I didn't try. I didn't want to fix it. I didn't want it back. I wanted it to be exactly what it was. Because every day since then, Ash, I've been blessed beyond measure. Every day I wake up to another blessing. So over 365 days ago, I have been blessed every day since then. And I knew that it was going to be bad. And that could have been worse, right? Because I had big medias reach out to me that wanted to interview me, but I didn't want to drag it. I said what I said. She knew exactly who I was talking to. And then it was a wrap for me in my mind, because I'm divorced that day. The moment that you bring something to social media, it's a wrap. We were never going to come back from it. So we might as well air the shit out right now. I'm not a crash out person like on the internet, go crazy. I just wanted to say my piece and be done. And then I got the backlash about, you didn't think about her son. I said, she didn't think about her son. Everybody knows I'm a fool. Don't fucking play with me. My children are grown. They were like, oh, well, she doesn't care because her children are grown. I care, period, because they still have feelings. They still see their mom out here in public. But the good outweighed the bad. You can never focus on the negative. I'm telling you now, I said what I said and I logged off. I went to bed just like any other night. Did my skincare routine, put my lip gloss on, couldn't be bothered because I don't give a damn. I don't care. And then someone asked, well, that means you never loved her or you must didn't love her. The moment that betrayal enters something, it doesn't matter at all. And that is my way of compartmentalizing things, maybe from trauma. But no, I didn't shed a tear. I did not shed one tear. I felt a weight lifted up off of me and I walked through the door that was open. And I couldn't worry about it. As much as I've been through, this was a cakewalk compared to what I've been through. So I don't want you to regret not saying it. In that moment, that's what you felt. But I felt the need to protect nobody. Nobody at all. I wanted to say what I needed to say in order for me to sleep better. So now it's your turn.
Okay. Well, I just appreciate the realness and I feel that when you say it, because once you start telling the truth, you can't stop.
Right.
I think that's the thing for me is when I finally acknowledged that this wasn't working and I started saying it out loud. Because we say it internally for far too long. And we sit and we suffer and we do the work and we do all the things and we do things for the kids. And at some point you stand up and you're like, well, what the fuck about me? What about me? You bend, you curve, you do cave, you do all these things. You look in the mirror and I'm like, I look in the mirror, I'm like, who the fuck are you? You've completely lost yourself.
My best friend said that to me. She didn't say, who are you? She was like, RaeShanda, I know you and you would have never allowed any of it. Because see, when you start compromising, like you said, bending. But takers are going to always take. They and if you don't tell them that they're taking, you have now turned them into a thief that they didn't know because you didn't tell them.
Ooh, honey.
So I said, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a wrap.
We are done. We are moving. So tell me now, what is dating like?
Oh, it's so fun.
Ooh, honey.
It's so fun. It's a plethora of options, right? The roster is just amazing.
I'm just getting you a little juiced before maybe some dates this weekend in New York.
Yes. I'm super excited to see her too. Yeah, I'm excited. But here's the thing. I don't know if I don't know. You
don't know what? If you'll ever get married? Is that what we're going to?
If I ever get married or do anything like that again. Because here's the thing. I always tell people, and I think I heard Oprah say this or somebody say this, but for me, the biggest mistakes that I've ever made in my life have always been to appease other people. The first time I got married, I knew I was gay. I got married anyway because he liked me. He loved me. So he's asking me, I might as well. Even though you don't, that is a red flag right there. Not a might as well marriage. And I can't say that I didn't like him, but I knew. And then for her, my second marriage, on my first date, I said, I never want to be remarried again. And I got married again, even though I knew. And she asked me in front of all of my friends. So what do you do? So because I can do relationships, I'm good in relationships. That's easy work. I'm faithful. I'm kind. I'm funny. That's easy. I don't have a problem with relationships, but it has to be at a point where you love that person too. You like them too. It's not just, oh, they like me and I don't want to hurt their feelings. And that's where I was. Right? Everything that I've ever done that was a mistake was not following my intuition and appeasing somebody else because I don't want to hurt their feelings. So now I'm at a point where I'm like, if I feel it, then maybe. If I don't feel it, I'm not going to force it or act like it's there.
No.
Because to spare somebody else. No. Because in the end, you end up hurting yourself.
Absolutely. And you lose yourself.
And that person.
Yeah. You rail everything.
Yes.
And everyone in the way. It's like every time I hear Miley Cyrus, I'm like, I came in like a wrecking ball.
Yes.
Well, girl, I
and now
sure
understand.
did.
Right. Now I understand.
I do too. Until you've lived it and you're like, oh, someone rolled the carpet for me to run a little bit. I'm fucking sprinting.
Yes.
I felt like I was being chased. I was like, I don't care who's in my way. I'm running.
Really?
Oh, God. I had to. I was like, the second I saw the light and the sense of freedom to get out, I fucking took off. I just ran. And I didn't care who I hurt in the process because I was so broken and damaged that I was running to save myself because I didn't recognize who was standing in the mirror. So it's just an interesting thing that you say. It's like you're gonna hurt people in the process of choosing you.
Ooh, yes. Every time.
Or you're gonna cave and you're gonna choose someone else's joy and happiness over yourself. And how long is that gonna last?
My goodness. Now
I won't sell my worth anymore. That's what I've learned. That is not negotiable anymore.
I love that. Oh, you just spoke a word.
Oh, yeah, honey. Come on. That's why we're here.
I got a drink on that one. Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. So to end on a lighter note, I saw recently that you went to your first sports ball game.
Yes.
Tell me everything because you had me rolling. You went to the Washington Commanders LGBTQIA plus game, correct? Which, great. I'm glad to see we're actually even doing that.
Yes.
I've never even heard of it.
I know. And they had T-shirts. On the back of the T-shirts, it says, football is for everybody. With a rainbow and a football. And you're right. And I'm so glad that the Washington Commanders was able to have a day like that. We had our own tailgating area, even though we were in there dancing, because again, we don't know what's happening. Most of us do not. I do know when you run into the logo where the big U is, that's a touchdown area.
That's called the end zone.
See? There's something about a 2-point conversion. Somebody's punting. There's a lot of terminology that I learned. I don't know how to put it together, but I did have a football purse, earrings, and necklace, which made the day better to be coordinated with the event. But as far as sports ball, honey, I heard something about a tight end, a wide receiver. I was like, oh, this is something's not right. But I'm glad that I was able to be a part of that. But, I learned some stuff. I learned what a down was.
A down? Okay. Should I take you to your next sports ball game?
Please.
Do you want to go to maybe a WNBA basketball game?
You know what? That would be more of my speed.
I feel like that would be your speed.
Yes.
Okay.
Indoor events.
Indoor.
With girls.
Chic. Let's get you courtside.
Yes.
Ooh, honey, with that fashion, those cameras are going to be not worrying about the girlies on the court. They're going to be worrying about you.
What is wrong with you?
Listen, you're my date. I'm taking you.
I will go.
You got to come back to New York when the Liberty, because New York just won the championship.
Yes.
Girl, we out here, we're winning all the things.
Guess we're fabulous.
We are.
See.
And I'm going to take you because I want you to learn more about the sports ball.
Okay.
With the girlies.
Yeah, I think I know more basketball terminology.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for showing up in this world exactly who the fuck you are. It is
I'm glad.
the most beautiful gift you can give to everyone. And I'm so grateful for your vulnerability. And also this friendship that we've like started. You're coming to Friendsgiving.
Yes.
We are doing this together.
Don't be a bad influence at Friendsgiving too. Okay. All right.
I'll try not to.
Okay.
We're going to hit the Hollywood Hills together. You're single. I'm a good wing woman.
Oh, well, that's good. See?
I'm going to bring all of my people that are single and ready to mingle for you.
Okay.
So you better, not that I worry, but you could be fly.
Okay.
Fly but chic but comfortable.
Okay.
We're going to have a little fire pit.
I love that.
You know, we're going to be eating all the things. You just bring your happy self.
It's going to be a fabulous day.
The babies will be there. So they will meet Auntie Rae. Ah, baby.
Yes.
They will be ripping around the backyard thinking that this party is for them. Sloan will probably think it's her birthday because anytime there's a gathering, it's about her because she's the princess.
Okay.
And we already spoke about that.
Okay. That's true. I'm ready.
Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thanks,
so everyone.
Proud of you.
Thank you, babe.
Yay.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And we will see you next week.
Bye.